Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. My name is Jenna Halls, and I am a fairly new member of this congregation. Even though it's been almost 2 years, which is hard to believe, I still say that because my husband Michael and I were only able to come in person about 4 times before COVID hit. We walked in one Sunday morning in January of 2020, looking for a new community as we prepared to welcome our first child. We now have a 17-month-old son named Calvin, who I'm sure many of you have seen grow up on your computer screen. We became official members in the fall of 2020. We are grateful for the continued opportunity to learn about UU and our fellow members, even if virtually. With our little one, it has truly been amazing to still feel like we can participate online. I am excited to have started to volunteer for some of our various committees, and this is truly a wonderful and welcoming group. I am so glad that you were able to join us this morning, both online and in person. Our weekly services are more than just a gathering of our physical bodies. It is the forming of a sacred time that we have been making together for 199 years. As we work to build a more just world, and in the sense of sacredness, along with deep respect, we acknowledge that our physical building is on the traditional land of the Pagussit people. If you are joining us online, we invite you to introduce yourselves and where you are connecting from in the chat box as you are comfortable. If you are there in person, please fill out a guest card and drop it in the basket on the table in the foyer as you leave today. After our service, we invite those of you at home to participate in a breakout group for individual connections and deeper check-ins. We welcome you, whatever the faith and traditions of your past, whatever your theological stance, whatever your heritage, whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. You can learn more about UUCD on our website and Facebook page. We encourage you to share our Facebook page and reach out to others who may feel isolated and might benefit from the spiritual connection with our loving community. And now for some announcements. Sunday connections for newcomers. Newcomers are invited to join Reverend Kathleen after the Sunday service on Sunday, November 21st in the fellowship hall for an informal get acquainted session. Let us know what brought you here. What questions do you have about Unitarian Universalism and about our Danbury congregation? If you would like to attend virtually, contact Bruni Edwards at bruni30@hotmail.com for the Zoom link. Clearly, the UU's 8th principle calls us to restructure the commemoration we know as Thanksgiving. But how? Please join Gary Mummer and Margaret Henderson via Zoom this Thursday night at 7:15 to watch a worship called Decolonizing Thanksgiving. This presentation brought to you by many Indigenous UUs, the UU Ministry for the Earth, and Side with Love, will center Indigenous people and cultures. We'll come together online, watch the service, and then discuss our reactions and interpretations. Contact Gary if interested. And now I'd like to turn it over to Reverend Kathleen with a special announcement.
Thank you, Jenna. I first of all, and this is not going to be expected, I want to, in front of all of you, express my gratitude to our Board of Trustees. I hope that you will do this too. First of all, with an incredible auction that was supported by the board, and to those, I hope that you have been thanked. But also, I want you to know just how hard your Board of Trustees has been working during this time of trying to bring us back together, trying to make it possible for today to happen, for you to be sitting in these seats, for us to be together. It has been a long and hard journey. It is not over, but they have worked tirelessly, and they have been, as some might say, cautious. We have watched the numbers. We thank our hygiene team for helping us with that. And you are going to begin to see some changes, some exciting changes, because we're watching the trend. And the board met on Thursday. They discussed with such thoughtfulness how best to do this. And so I just wanted to take a moment to really thank them for what they've done. We're now wearing name tags. There's now no alphabetical division. We can all sign up at the same time to be here. You are going to see a few other exciting things coming in the next few weeks that I'm just going to leave you hanging a little bit. So you want to watch for those things, but they're really good. They're really good. So thank you to the board. And speaking of gratitude, I am sure many of you here are very grateful for our Sunday services team. Yes, yes, I am sure. Yes. The Sunday services team is a small but mighty group, and they need you. I am asking you to consider putting that gratitude into action. And if you think that you might be able to join this team, which means coming together in a really organized, excellent meeting once a month, and then helping to coordinate a service once a month, that's the only commitment that we have. Think about that. Speak to me, speak to Deb Casey, who is here, one of our co-chairs. And if you are online, email. Think about it, because the Sunday services team is a very important part of this community, and we need you. And I am sure you are all very grateful for our tech team. Yes, they let us come via Zoom when you're not here in person. They do an awesome job. Sherry and Chris Creeder leading the way, Sherry doing much more than we would have ever thought that she would do in this capacity. And they need you. This is another really important group that makes our Sundays possible. So consider what it might be. Perhaps this is a new career for you. You've always wanted to know how to do tech. We have the most excellent teachers. They will show you what to do. Your commitment will be minimal, but it's to have you on that roster, have you on that team, so we can continue to do this. In the spirit of gratitude this morning, I ask you to not only share your gratitude with those who help us put today together and all the Sundays, but that you also consider expressing that gratitude through action. See if there is a place that you might be able to help in this congregation. We are so glad, all of us, that you are here, that you are here. Welcome, welcome to this morning at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. Let us join together our hymn of welcome, humming for the last Sunday. I say nothing else. Let's hum our little hearts out to We Hum Now Together.
We sing now together our song of thanksgiving, rejoicing in goods which the ages have wrought, for life that enfolds us and helps and heals and molds us and leads beyond the goals which our forebears once sought. We sing of the freedoms which martyrs and heroes have won by their labor, their sorrow, their pain, the oppressed befriending, our ambler hopes defending. Their death becomes a triumph, they died not in vain. We sing of the prophets, the teachers, the dreamers, designers, creators, and workers and seers, our own lives expanding, our gratitude commending. Their deeds have made immortal their days and their years. We sing of community by now in the making, in every far continent, region, and land, with those of all races, all times and names and places. We pledge ourselves in covenant firmly to stand.
We gather this morning in the spirit of thanksgiving and gratitude. We are grateful for this family, this gathering. We are grateful for the bounty of this season of autumn, for the beauty of earth and sky and of human creations. We are grateful for love, given and received. Let us make our thanks for these blessings manifest in our words, our deeds, and in the warmth of our companionship. Let us say thanks to life. I invite Deb Casey to come and lead us in our chalice lighting affirmation.
Thank you. If you could all join me, the words will be on the screen. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another and celebrate life.
Good morning. Good morning. It is good to be together. If there are children and youth who are at home but not near the screen, I invite you to come over now for the children's affirmation. The words are on the screen. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We care for the earth and each other. This morning's story was written by Tim Atkins, adapted by Megan Henry, and then again adapted by me. Hold on for just 10 seconds because we need an inflated balloon for this story. Lee was having a no good, very bad day. First, he broke his glasses as he was trying to clean them. They snapped right in the middle where they rested on his nose. His mom had to super glue them together. He felt his heart deflate a little. It was so embarrassing, and he wanted to go get another pair so badly. He was angry. And it was cold outside. So cold he couldn't go outside to play. He hated when it got cold because he loved going outside to run around and play. Sometimes he could go outside and play in the snow. But this particular day, it was the worst kind of cold because it was icy and there was a whipping wind that froze your cheeks right away. He felt his heart deflate a little more. He was so angry. Since he couldn't play outside, he decided to play with his cat. They were playing Chase the Feathers with that feather stick thing, and he was having a good enough time. Eventually, he went to pet his cat, and she scratched him. He felt his heart deflate a little more. It hurt, and he felt angry. All day long, bad things kept happening, and by the end of the day, his heart felt completely deflated and completely empty. He was hoping that tomorrow would be better, but he wasn't holding out too much hope. That night, he had a very strange dream. When he woke up, he remembered someone in his dream telling him that he was going to have a chance to redo his day. He was going to get his own Groundhog Day. He was excited because he hoped that he could turn this horrible, terrible day around. But he also remembered the person in his dream suggesting that it might be as good a day as any to give thanks. It was the only Groundhog Day advice he had gotten, so he'd figured he'd give it a try. And although he tried not to, he still broke his glasses. But he remembered the advice, and when his mom came to fix them with super glue again, this time he said, "Thank you, Mom." And he noticed how his mom gave him a relieved smile in return. When he said thanks, his heart began to inflate. He felt a little less angry than he did last time. When he couldn't go outside and he had to stay inside, he thought about how he was thankful to have a house to stay in when it was cold and icy outside. He felt his heart inflate just a little bit more. Being thankful for his warm home made him want to share the feeling. It made him want to help make sure everyone had a warm place to be on a cold day. And then he started playing with his cat, and he could tell that she got really excited. And he went to pet her, and he still got scratched. But this time he knew it was because she was still excited and thought they were still playing. "Thank you, Kitty," he said, "for playing with me." And when he said thanks, his heart inflated just a little bit more. All day long, the same bad things happened, but this time it wasn't quite so deflating. He thought of things he was thankful for, and this made him want to share his gratitude. He drew pictures for everyone in his family. Drawing helped him feel a little less angry about his day, and sharing his artwork felt really good. His mom even helped him put the pictures on the family's bulletin board in the kitchen. By the end of the day, his heart was full. Giving thanks like this had been like breathing life into his heart and soul. It filled his heart. You can try it yourself right now. Think of someone or something for which you are grateful. Let that gratitude fill your heart like a breath of gratitude. Did you feel your heart swell, even just a little?
Thank you, Sierra Marie. We've all come here with hearts not unlike that balloon. Some of us have hearts that are nearly bursting. We have such joy that we've brought with us here today. Some of us have hearts that are feeling a little deflated because we have brought with us concerns, we have brought with us sorrows. And so we enter a time where we share what we have brought, what is on our hearts, what is sacred in this community, in a time of milestones. This is a time when Deb Casey will invite you here, if you're here in person, to come forward to the mic and to share your name and briefly share your milestone. But as well, online, your milestones are important to this community as well. And so we invite you to type your milestone into the chat, and please save that chat just for the milestones and not comments at this point. And those will be read as well. When two violins are placed in a room, if one chord is struck on one violin, the other violin will sound the note. If this is your definition of hope,
This is for you.
the ones who know how powerful we are, who know we can sound the music in the people around us simply by playing our own strings, for the ones who sing life into broken wings, open their chests and offer their breath as wind on a still day when nothing seems to be moving.
This is also for the people who wake early to watch flowers bloom,
Who notice the moon at noon on a day when the world has slapped them in the face with its lack of light.
for the mothers who feed their children first and thirst for nothing when they're full.
This is for the man who showed me the hardest thing about having nothing is having nothing to give, who said the only reason to live is to give ourselves away.
This is for all the stuff we own.
For the day we'll learn how much we have when we learn to give that stuff away.
For trading our silver platters for something that matters, like the gold that shines from our hands when we hold each other.
For you, when you give like every star is wishing on you, and for the people still wishing on stars.
This is for you too.
This is for the times you went through hell so someone else wouldn't have to.
For the time you taught a 14-year-old girl she was powerful.
This is for the time you taught a 14-year-old boy he was beautiful.
This is for the no becoming yes, and for scars becoming breath.
For the time you gave when you didn't have a penny.
For every song you've ever sung.
For refusing to believe in miracles because miracles are the impossible coming true.
And everything is possible.
This is for the possibility that guides us and for the possibilities still waiting to sing. Because tonight, Saturn is on his knees, proposing with all of his 10,000 rings that whatever song we've been singing, we sing even more.
The world needs us right now more than it ever has before.
Pull all your strings.
Play every chord.
If you're writing letters to the prisoners, start tearing down the bars.
If you're handing out flashlights in the dark, start handing out stars.
Never go a second hushing the percussion of your heart.
Play loud.
Play like you know the clouds have left too many people cold and broken, and you are their last chance for sun. Play like you know we won't survive if you don't, but we will if you do. Play like Saturn is on his knees, proposing with all his 10,000 rings. This is for saying yes.
It is now time for our congregational offering. If you're new with us, we are so grateful that you're here, and your being here is your gift to us. Members and friends, you can use the Simple Give app. You can also use the QR code. For those of you that are in the room, there's going to be someone at the door at the end of the service who can also collect your contributions in that manner. Now, if you can join me with our congregational response. In the spirit of compassion and service, we dedicate these, our offering. And now Cheryl and Barbara will play again for us.
Benjamin Disraeli was a British prime minister at one time, a novelist, who said, "I feel a very unusual sensation. If it's not indigestion, I think it must be gratitude." Well, perhaps Mr. Disraeli, with all due respect, would have done well to read a few lines from Goodness Gracious. Thank you, sky, so bright and blue. Thank you, sun, for all you do, for shining on the dragonfly and frog and inchworm passing by. Thank you, birds who sing so sweet. Thank you, grass beneath my feet, so green, so cool, so soft to touch. I love to dance and roll and such. For all the goodness that you bring, I thank you, earth, for everything. Goodness Gracious, a gratitude book, obviously for children. It's a book that I recently wrote and published through Skinner House Publishing 3 years ago. And I wrote it for children, for families, to encourage the expression of gratitude in everyday life. And I also wrote it to encourage families and children, as well as the adults, to ground their lives in a practice, a daily practice of gratitude, so that perhaps we may all know the difference between indigestion and gratitude. It should not be an unusual feeling. And gratitude is not just for children, is it? Even while we've moved into that time of year when being thankful is especially in vogue. We can see the people, and sometimes I enjoy reading, every day there's the next day of something to be thankful for, counting down to Thanksgiving. But gratitude is not exclusive to a particular season. In fact, I find the season that we're in now, we will now and next find ourselves in the next season of regret. Tends to be a season of regret for overspending and overeating and overcompensating. How interesting that it would follow that season of Thanksgiving. But before I go any further, let's just be really frank. It's been over 1.5 years, in fact, almost 2 years since the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. Our collective mental health has been disrupted. Our well-being has been stunted. And many of us have struggled, quite frankly, to find the upside of one of the most tumultuous times in our lives. Your ability to express gratitude may feel like that balloon. It may feel like it is just waning by the second. But the reality is that gratitude doesn't just come naturally or easily to many of us. Being receptive to the concept of practicing gratitude can be a struggle in itself. Add in the pandemic, add in economic losses, add in a reckoning with racial injustice, and numerous other things that we refer to as setbacks. I think it feels nearly impossible some days. I've heard it said that sometimes gratitude means seeing the situation in perspective. That saying, well, it could be worse. And in some situations, it's said that for gratitude to truly be healing and transformative, it must start from a dark place, or a place of unknowing, a place even of terror. I do believe and can tell you that from my own experience of deep grief, all of this can be true, even if it's difficult. But I also want to posit today that I believe with all of my being that gratitude is exactly what Unitarian Universalists, Christians, atheists, Muslims, Sikhs, Jews, humanists, Hindus, pagans, Connecticut nutmeggers, Americans, citizens of the world, we all need right now. Yes, the world needs love. That's how the song goes, right? What the world needs now. We don't get to love until we get to gratitude. Let me just say that once more. We don't get to, on the journey, love until we get to gratitude. I'm not referring to the simplicity of silver linings and positive thinking, although both of those have value. Gratitude is a feeling. It occurs in exchanges when one acknowledges receiving value. In personal exchanges, it's when one person acknowledges receiving a valuable benefit from another. And so much of life is about giving and receiving and repayment. There's an energizing, a motivating quality to gratitude. It serves as a key link in that dynamic between giving and receiving. It's not only a response to kindness, it's a motivator of future benevolent actions. This is not an intellectual activity. It's not a belief. Gratitude is a feeling. It comes from the heart, not from the head, although we usually try to intellectualize everything. It comes from the heart. Now, if we're really honest with each other, and if we've been Unitarian Universalists long enough, or Universalist Unitarians, we know that we're not really known for being the best when it comes to affairs of the heart, because we like to intellectualize. We want to be intellectually stimulated. We tend to be a bit of a heady bunch. So for those of us, myself included, who need some of the head stuff, I want to take just a moment, so bear with me, and turn to the science. I am not a doctor. Arthur Brooks, author of Gross National Happiness. Has anybody heard of that book before? Gross National Happiness. Brooks claims that acting grateful can actually make you grateful. Gratitude stimulates two important regions in the brain. It stimulates the hypothalamus, which is located on the undersurface of the brain. It's right above the pituitary gland, and in most of us human beings, it's the size of a pea. This regulates stress. This is about homeostasis, about keeping the human body in a stable, constant condition. Gratitude stimulates that. And gratitude stimulates something called the ventral tegmental area. Big word, located in the midbrain. But here's the thing about the VTA. This plays a significant role in our brain's reward system. This determines just how well our human needs are being satisfied. Gratitude activates, stimulates those regions of the brain, maximizing pleasure, stimulating those areas. There's a well-established law in the psychology of emotion called the Principle of Adaptation. We adapt to circumstances. We adapt to pleasant ones. We adapt to unpleasant ones. But our emotional systems, we like newness. We like new and shiny things. And so unfortunately, for our personal happiness, adaptation to pleasant circumstances occurs much more rapidly than to unpleasant, which may help to explain the difficulty that many of us have had in adapting to whatever the new normal is. The new normal here at UUCD hasn't been easy. It also then makes sense if you think of people who've gotten a tremendous windfall, something so wonderful, and yet it impacts happiness for only a short time. Within a few months, that happiness has waned. But there is one thing. This is science. One thing that can change that can prolong the increase in happiness. It's gratitude. Gratitude promotes the savoring of positive life experiences and situations. Gratitude also promotes our physical health. Research suggests that experience of gratitude can help increase your control over your heart rate. It can lower your systolic blood pressure. So there's some science. But I want you to know, gratitude is not just some transient emotion. It's also a virtue. Grateful people are more prone to respond with gratitude to a wider range of beneficent actions. They're more likely to notice beneficence on the part of others. In particular, they're more likely to respond to beneficence with an emotion of gratitude instead of, and think about this in your own life, instead of resentment, shame, guilt. Grateful people are rated as much more trustworthy. And gratitude protects us against the negative, mitigating, toxic emotions. So we can all agree gratitude is a good thing, right? You can hardly argue that point. But what is grounding? What in the world do I mean by saying grounded in gratitude? Why is that important? Well, in addition to being a feeling and a virtue, gratitude is also ethereal. Gratitude is spiritual. Gratitude is transcendent. Being grounded is being rooted. Rooted where we can nourish and nurture in order to bloom. Philosophies and theologies have long viewed gratitude as central to the human-divine relationship. As long as people have ever believed in a supreme being, those believers have sought ways to express gratitude and thanksgiving to the supreme being. In monotheistic traditions, which many of us grew up in, gratitude was a universal religious emotion. It was manifested in the offering of thanks described in ancient scriptures, in those daily ceremonies and rituals of indigenous peoples, and in the contemporary praise and worship music of now the evangelical tradition. Well, I grew up in a Southern Baptist family. A Southern Baptist family in Oklahoma. And while the Christian mystic Meister Eckhart wrote, "The greatest prayer one could ever utter is thank you," my granddad would disagree. His prayers, while very heartfelt, were longer than my doctorate dissertation. And I'm not kidding. Mealtime was an exercise in patience, especially for a young child waiting for that blessing to conclude and the eating to begin. I will confess to you, as I have confessed to my parents, I actually fell asleep once before he got to amen. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized the reason that prayer was so long was he took the time, forget the rest of us waiting to eat, he took the time to thank and think of every single person in his life, whether he knew them personally or not, every situation, everything the earth gave to be thankful for. But what about non-theistic traditions? What about for humanist people like myself, maybe like you? Our gratitude is rooted in a sense of wonder and beneficence of this world, not a possible world to come. That makes a difference. Our gratitude is rooted, is planted, is grounded in a sense of wonder and beneficence of this world that we experience every day. Though the concept of a personally transcendent God is not relevant in non-theistic traditions, gratitude still retains its spiritual nature. The fundamental spiritual quality to gratitude that transcends religious traditions is we recognize we're connected to each other. We recognize we are connected to the earth. We recognize we are connected in this miraculous way that is part of a wider context. The spiritual core of gratefulness is essential if gratitude is not going to simply be a tool for narcissistic self-improvement. Think about that for a minute. The spiritual core of gratitude is essential if gratitude is to be not simply a tool for narcissistic self-improvement. You see, true gratitude rejoices in the other. True gratitude has as its ultimate goal reflecting back the goodness that one has received by creatively seeking opportunities for giving. And the motivation for doing so resides in the appreciation that one has lived, at least in part, by the grace of others. So for all of these reasons, I am encouraging us, not only as individuals, but as a beloved community, to ground ourselves in the richness of gratitude as we walk our journey as individuals and as we live out our mission here at UUCD. Planted in gratitude, rooted in the sense of wonder and beneficence of this world. This helps us to have a wider and deeper impact in everything we do. What we do here on Sunday morning, what we do in our social justice work. Let me give you a quick example. How many times have we engaged? I'll speak for myself. How many times have I engaged in social justice work grounded in anger? I am so angry about that situation. I come to that work grounded, planted, rooted in anger. And it's not to say that there is not a place for anger. There is. But if we can come to that work grounded in gratitude, if we can come to that work rooted in that sense of wonder and beneficence in this world, our work will be wider, our work will be deeper, our work will have a greater impact. It doesn't mean we ignore situations that cry out for our action. We simply answer that call to action from a place of gratitude. Gratitude is saying yes to life. Gratitude opens opportunity for yes. It's a way to help us negate what holds us back. And it begins with awareness. We all know of ways to express gratitude. Most of us have known this since we were a child. We're taught the please and the thank you. But it's the intentional practice that we sometimes lack. So I want to tell you today, it starts with you giving yourself permission. It starts with you giving yourself permission to just be still for a moment. Be still and reflect on what is good. You decide for yourself what your practice will look like. You know, in my children's book, I encourage families to be intentional in setting aside time to be grateful together. And the best example, something everyone could do, is to pause before a meal. Not a granddad pause, but a brief pause. Just to be mindful of how that food actually arrived on that plate. It can lead us back through all the people who had some hand in getting it there. The cashiers, the shelf stockers, the grocery store managers, the truck drivers, the loaders, the processors, the pickers, the planters, and then beyond people. Further back to the soil, the water, the sun, and then further still to the insight that we are fundamentally dependent. We do not exist apart from a reality greater than just our individual selves. It's the collective. Just a brief pause. Expressing our gratitude can instill in us a desire to give back. It instills in us a desire to live not simply as recipients of the earth's abundance, bring it to me. Not just as recipients, but as people who actively engage the wider world, people who work for justice and peace, people who work for healing and repair, people who work to sustain this Mother Earth and all her creatures. Heartfelt gratitude, it ought to yield some kind of participation, some kind of commitment, some kind of action as it moves us to love. My colleague Matthew Johnson has said that when we name what we're thankful for, when we say, I am thankful for Joanne, it reminds us not all is bleak in this world. It fixes before us what we have to bring to the table of community and to the work of our loves. Gratitude moves us to love and toward community. We have different gifts. Our cupboard might be bare, but we have stories. Others will bring the feast, and we can be grateful together. We can share. Gratitude moves us to open-hearted community. When millions of Americans are still seeking help from food banks, still. While women are being denied reproductive health care based on religious ideology. In the state of Connecticut, following a national trend, when our planet cries tears of floods, flooding entire cities, endangering entire species, when people with different skin color, different sexual orientation, different gender identity, or different socioeconomic circumstance are seen as others and discarded as less than, we are called to say yes. We are called to say yes to life and commit to action, grounded in gratitude. Gratitude to all of those who've gone before us. My granddad, your ancestors, those who've gone before in this congregation, those who've gone before in Unitarianism and Universalism, those who have gone before, paved the way, worked the hard work. We are called by our own best selves. We are called by our being interconnected. And gratitude will strengthen our relationships because it will cultivate that sense of interconnectedness. It will take us outside of ourselves where we see ourselves as part of the larger, intricate network. So wherever you have come from today, to be here in this room, wherever you have come from today, to be on Zoom, to be with us, wherever you are on your personal journey, whether we have met before, whether we have not, whether we may never meet in person again. I am grateful for you. I am grateful for each and every one of you. I implore us all to remember, gratitude says, pull all your strings. Play every chord. Never go a second hushing the percussion of your heart. Play loud. Play like you know the clouds have left too many people cold and broken. And we are their last chance for sun. Play like you know we won't survive if you don't. But we will if you do. This is for saying yes, and may it be so.
It is now time for us to extinguish the chalice, and I invite you to join with me in our chalice extinguishing declaration. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, with our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together in heaven. And now let's hum our hearts out. Those of you at home, please sing our closing hymn, Oh, We Give Thanks.
We give thanks on this precious day. We're all gathered here and those far away. For this time we share with love and care. Give thanks on this precious day. Give thanks for this precious day. We're all gathered here and those far away. For this time we share with love and care. Give thanks for this precious day.
For Marta Flanagan, may we be inspired with gratitude for the wondrous gifts that are ours, and be filled with the resolve to share them with all who are in need. May we hold precious one another and the world, which provides us with sustenance and beauty, and may a song of thanksgiving be on our lips, leading us to love. Shalom. Salam. Amen. Blessed be to each and to all. Namaste.